Hello, this is Daniel Raymond, the voice behind Ray's Guide, and there have been a number of little things swirling about the Star Citizen creator community, not big enough to deserve a whole video on their own, but also that I can't ignore and still be staying relevant with what is going on. So I'm going to aggregate them here. One thing I don't want to do is to make a video where I play 20 minutes of somebody else's video and then add 4 more minutes of my own comment. I want to be more economical with my time and yours. First is actually a new thing, and I put it first in the hope that CIG will see it and either address it in a comment or more appropriately in a Spectrum post, and that has to do with the ISC Q&A on server meshing, particularly this phrase.
Because every time they come back to the same server, the state will be the same.
Now, if you've been following my channel, you know that I have been calling this the big asterisk, that in order to get the promised level of persistence, you will have to return to the same shard as before. I've also called this the Vegas shard rule. What happens in the Vegas shard stays in the Vegas shard, so to stay with all those things, you have to stay on the Vegas shard too. Except we don't have shards yet. Shards is a server meshing concept. So for this not quite yet server meshing in 3.18, what do you mean by on the same server? Do you mean the same 100-player DCS server? Or a whole server region? Or some sort of proto-shard somewhere in between? If it is just the 100-player DCS server, then returning to the same server might be difficult. And will you be keeping a DCS server open as the player count dwindles to near 0 and then 0? I called this the Seattle shard issue. Now, I soon expect to learn the answers to these questions when 3.18 hits Evocati, but then I won't be able to tell you because of Evo NDA. So CIG, if you could clarify this, it would be most appreciated. Next is a quickie. Is using ReShade to get a night vision effect cheating? No. Sure, it is an advantage, but CIG controls the game and says what is or is not an unfair advantage. Besides, pretty much the same effect can be accomplished just by boosting the gamma, which is right there in the graphics options. So no, it is not cheating until CIG says so. The next one is kind of a multi-part. It is the tale of Morphologis and the A2. Morphologis streamed a rather impassioned ranting demand that CIG nerf the A2. And the first thing I noticed different than other commentators is that I don't think Morph actually showed what he said he was showing. Compared his loop clip with this sample of a Moab blast courtesy of Greasy Khaleesi. See the difference? Bright flash, more flames, larger, and a huge scorch mark on the landscape, none of which are present in Morph's clip. In addition, the Moab has a famous 1-kilometer kill zone, and yet there are player markers much closer than that to the blast, still moving and alive. So honestly, what we are actually seeing here is an incompetent pilot slamming a large ship into a mountain. Most likely not much different than if someone had slammed their reclaimer into the same mountain. So I never thought I would say this about a Morphologis video, but ignore his visuals. I also never thought I would say this about one of his videos, but ignore his general tone and consider instead the possibility of a low-level suicide bombing run, which I guess is possible, but not all that easy to pull off in reality. And since almost all the Hercules guns are on the underside, allowing you to be very vulnerable to any aircraft. So the first question up is, should a Centurion be able to solo defeat a large ship with military-grade armor and 2 military-grade large shields? I wouldn't give that an obvious yes at all. Actually, more interesting than Morphologis' video was some of the suggestions that others made about how to nerf the A2. Change the reset timers. Wait until Death of a Spaceman is a thing. Make ordnance not included in a claim, but size 10 bombs worth a fortune, and so forth. All good ideas worthy of discussion. But what I didn't really see discussed much was weather. As a very expensive ship with no other obvious use, the A2 deserved to be the golden snitch of Jumptown. Now, I'm guessing that for some of you, that reference went over your head.
Nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too fast. I would catch it.
And for the rest of you, you might be wondering, what on earth does Jumptown have to do with Quidditch? Well, in Quidditch, if you caught the golden snitch, then it did not matter how far behind you were in the score of the game was over, and you won. So it seems if you can manage an on-target bombing run in an A2, then game over, you won. Just like the Golden Snitch. And if you find that infuriating way to decide an event, you're not alone. J.K. Rowling said she added that feature after a fight with her boyfriend specifically because she thought it would infuriate men. But there is another reason for it. It means that even if you are way ahead in the score, you can't get complacent. And no matter how far behind, you shouldn't get despaired. The snitch is still in play. Similarly, the ever-possible presence of an A2 means that the conga line will never be without that little extra bit of tension and need for diligence. I'm fine with it. Beyond that, this whole thing reminded me why I prefer to do scripted content. I, too, tend to do a lot of content where I make suggestions about how to make this or that better. But I must say that almost always the idea that I present in the video wasn't my first idea on the subject. Morph, you should have spent more time with the bumwad on this. That's architect's jargon for taking longer to develop an idea before presenting it. Bumwad is the nickname of a cheap white or yellow tracing paper sold by the roll. Architects and others use it to develop and test their initial ideas, and most of it winds up wadded up in the trash. That's why it's called bumwad. Finally, for a while, there was a bit of tension piling up around Eradicator's copyright infringement squabble with Star Atlas. The video in question is now back up and monetized, so the outrage is down. So I'm kind of glad that I held back on commenting at the time, because what I would have said if I had commented at the time almost certainly would have caused the whole matter to explode. You see, the unofficial motto of this channel is telling you the things you don't want to hear. And in the case of Star Atlas, it isn't so much a statement as there is one question that absolutely nobody apparently wants to ask about Star Atlas, or hear asked about it. And that is this. Post-crypto crash, is the project still financially viable? If I look at the lifetime chart for Star Atlas coin, I see an asset that has found its floor and its ceiling, and they aren't very far apart, between 50 and 80 hundredths of a penny. The Polis coin, which is kind of like a class of stock that offers limited voting rights but no equity, has also settled in a flat line between 30 and 50 cents. The current market cap, the total value of every coin in circulation, is about $12 to $14 million for Atlas and about $8 to $12 million for Polis. That's it. Looking at the Star Atlas Club website, the staking rewards are still high, but only because they are based on what the site regards as the current market value of the ships, which have dropped between 70 and 90% of their initial sale price. And that makes me wonder, how are they generating those payouts? Are they actually able to generate that degree of income from, for example, using it in a crypto staking pool, or are they just creating more Atlas with the attendant risk of devaluing it? The thing is, I can ask this question, whether the project is still financially viable, but I can't answer it. Apparently, nobody can answer it, and that is its own problem. You see, I generally don't cover Star Citizen financials, but if I wanted to, I can go to the CIG website and get financial reports. I can get almost real-time information about pledge revenue. Now, the corporate lead on the development of Star Atlas is Automata. This is their website. No, this is not just the welcome page. This is the entire website. The game website has some documentation on the game economy, but nothing that would constitute a balance sheet or income statement or cash flow analysis on the project itself. Yes, the company generated a ton of money at the initial asset sale, but how much of that it was held in dollar equivalents or was held in crypto assets that crashed along with everything else? How much of the proceeds of that initial asset sale went to the 5 venture capitalists that seeded the project, and how much is still available to fund development and marketing? Irad talked about their video content being low budget. I'm more wondering why it was low budget. And that is the thing that nobody wants to talk about because nobody knows how to answer it. Now for an update on our Grow the Channel Ship giveaway. As of recording, we are at 84% of the subscriber goal and 78% of the membership goal to give to some lucky player their choice of the Anvil Liberator, the ship for shipping your ships, or the Myst Odyssey, that long-length look-ahead launcher lorry. 1 entry per video. Members, you're entered automatically. And if the winner is a member as of the publication date of the winning video and at the drawing time, remember that if you've let your membership expire, they will win both the Liberator and the Odyssey. For non-members, just subscribe and comment with the secret word. And the secret word for this video is the winning ball in Kidditch. Fly safe, keep it real, and I'll see you in the verse. This is Daniel Raymond for Ray's Guide.